In-office, hybrid, or remote? Which is the best? Well, it depends. It's a terrible answer, but it's true, and we'll discuss why next.
Next Level Coaching.
Hey, I'm Jim Kelly with Next Level Coaching, and I'm here to bring your career to the next level. While you're here, gently hit that like button, gently hit the subscribe button. Wouldn't want to hurt your phone, but we would like to build this channel out so more people see good information. So today we are talking about the different types of work in office, remote, and hybrid. And we're going to discuss the pros and cons of each. I'm going to give you 3 pros, 3 cons of each one of them. Now, not every job can be remote. Not every job can be hybrid. If you were a plumber, you tend to have to actually go to the place to do the plumbing, right? That's absolutely true. If you're controlling satellites, you're doing that remotely, whether you're in an office or from home. So, different things apply to different places there. But we're going to be talking about jobs that can be done in all 3 locations and what are the benefits we can get out of each one of these and what's the drawbacks, because it's important to know, the different factors here. All right. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So we're starting off with in-office here, and we're going to go with the most important in-office advantage, which is networking. It is easier to network when you're physically with people because you bump into people and can have conversations. You have those water cooler conversations or coffee machine conversations or snack machine conversations or whatever type of conversations you like having. But you get to know people, and when you connect with someone on a human level, it is easier to get their buy-in on doing things for your career. So meeting people and actually getting to know them helps out a lot. So that is one of the main advantages to being in the office. And, again, different things work for different people. This is not for everyone to be in office. It's not for everyone to not be in office. So keep that in mind. So the next advantage we're going to talk about in office is the tech. So not everyone has technical skills to have a fantastic setup at home. That is just the absolute truth of it. So when you're in an office, all your tech is set up for you. Generally, you have an IT team that can come help you out with tech problems instead of having to either have people remote into your computer and you still ending up having to do stuff on your own that you might not feel confident doing. So there is a huge advantage there in terms of tech. It's already set up for you, and it's plug and play, and that can help out some people who are not as tech savvy. And no, I'm not just talking about older folks. There are plenty of younger folks who have grown up in the age of the internet and are still not tech savvy. So this is true all around and will probably continue to be true for a very, very long time. So the third advantage we're going to talk about from an in-office perspective is increased visibility. Increased visibility. See, people can see me. What does that matter? What that matters is John Q. Sample is the manager on another team. He doesn't work with you every day. All right. But you worked with him on this one project at the beginning of the year, and you did a very, very good job. Now, John Q. Sample sees you at the water cooler every once in a while and maintains that connection. John Q. Sample has a job opening, which will be a promotion for you. And because they kept seeing you, they remember how good of a job you did and go, hey, Susie Q, why don't you apply to this job? I think you'd be a good fit. That can happen. It could also be a conversation at end of year when they're comparing and contrasting who should be, meets or exceeds, who should get promotions, and they're fighting for people. Well, John Q. Sample's willing to push with your manager a little bit to get you a better grade, get you a promotion that you probably wouldn't have gotten if you didn't have a second person backing you up. So the first disadvantage to in-office work is going to be time and money. So obviously there's travel time to and from the office. So you're losing time there. You have additional times going with, traffic, there can be traffic jams, all that fun stuff. But there's also the cost of going to the office, whether it is your gas money, your train fare, bus fare, etc., etc. But there's also the, costs of snacks, of buying lunch if you're buying your lunch. There's also the, random cost of being in the office of, oh, it's John Q. Sample's birthday. Let's all put in to get a birthday cake. Things of that nature. It's Susie Q's kids, fundraiser. Well, I have to help out Susie Q's kid. Let me buy this thing I was not planning on buying. All of these factors go into office life. So there is a time and money cost to it. Next disadvantage we're going to talk about is the distractions, because there are always distractions in the office. It is, being neurodivergent myself, this is the one that kills me the most about being in office. It is all the background noise, all the conversations that are happening around me, because my ears will just randomly tune into some conversation that I don't want to hear. And suddenly I'm hearing someone talk about their weekend. I'm hearing someone talk about something I don't care about at all. And, my brain won't unlisten. It's terrible. That's why I generally have my earbuds in when I'm in office. But there are people coming up to you, tapping you on the shoulder, asking you questions. There are all of those factors going on in the office. It is a noisy, distracting environment. People are getting up and moving. You're seeing them walk around. That can be distracting as well. So there are lots and lots of distractions in the office, especially if you're in an open office plan. They don't tune out the noise at all. It makes it very, very easy to be distractible. And let's go with our last one for in office. Full in office is increased likelihood of getting sick. People get colds. People come in with more than colds. And it's very easy to get communicable diseases that way. So, if you are someone who hates being sick, being in the office full time might not be for you. Unfortunately, this happens. It is the nature of business. When you put a bunch of people in one room, people end up sharing sicknesses. So, moving on to the hybrid side of things, we're going to talk about our first advantage, and that is improved work-life balance. So, when you are working a hybrid schedule, if there is a day of the week where you have, I have to go pick up the kids, I have to go help my mom, I have to go look at ducks, I don't know. Whatever happens in your life, it's different for everybody. So there is no right or wrong answer here. But I could go, well, I do that on Thursdays, so I'm going to work remotely on Thursdays, and I'm going to block out X time, start a little early, end a little late, and, get things done from that perspective. So that is one of the huge advantages to a hybrid schedule is you can have that little bit of extra flexibility. Depending on your employer with time frames there, because, some employers are going to be more flexible with time. Others will be less flexible with time. That is different cultures across different businesses. There's nothing right or wrong there. It's what works for their business. Next advantage of a hybrid schedule is you still get those networking opportunities in the office. Just because you're only there 1, 2, 3, 4 days a week does not mean you do not get the opportunities. So you get those chances to get those in-office connections. And when you bump into people, you can have those, nice conversations. Breaks up your workday a little bit, which is also nice. But those can be important conversations you're having that can further your career. So the last advantage for a hybrid work is that there is a smaller market for the role. So if you are in the New York geographic area and you're looking for a hybrid work, you are not competing with everyone in the United States. You're not competing with everyone in the world for that role. You are competing with people who are in or willing to move to the New York area for that work. So that is an advantage. You have less people you are competing with to get that job. So, it might not seem like the biggest advantage, but it is pretty huge. You try applying for remote work, you are competing with literally tens of thousands of people for every role you're going for. So compare that to hundreds to 1,000, then it's a big difference. So on to the disadvantage side of things. So the first disadvantage we're going to go with is a lack of rhythm. So you're going in X amount of days, you're staying out X amount of days. Your days do not feel like they have a rhythm to them. It throws you off and, it can cause inefficiencies in your work because, some people will go, oh, I'm going to do X on this day, Y on this day, and split your tasks up completely. And for some roles, that works. For other roles, you're doing similar things every single day so that it doesn't work. So this can be a disadvantage to hybrid work. The next disadvantage we're going to talk about is logistics. Logistics? Yes, logistics. So oftentimes in a hybrid environment, you are going to have more employees than you have desks for. So you have to have your workers coming in on different days and you have to coordinate that. Now, it works for John Q. Sample that he can come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Works for Susie Q that she can come in on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Fantastic. But then you have Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo can come in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And there's no extra desk set on those days. We need them coming in on Tuesday and Thursday. Well, they can't come in on Tuesday and Thursday, and you have to navigate all those type of situations as a manager and try to figure out who can come in when and what works out best there, while making sure people are hitting their in-office quotas, because there's often a quota being tracked. So that is an important factor to figure out. And the third disadvantage we're going to talk about for hybrid work is having different tech at home, different tech at work. So you're in office, you have, 19-inch monitors, you have 2 of them, fantastic, right? You go home, you have your laptop and a 14-inch monitor. That's a big difference, right? Could be obviously be reversed. You have 2 28-inch monitors at home and 2 19-inch monitors at work. You have different mouse, you have different keyboard. These are going to be factors that, might be slight inconveniences, but they will affect your work and your output. So it's an important thing to think about. So on to remote work. Now we're going to talk about our first advantage here, and that is global collaboration. So if everyone is working from home, everyone's going to be collaborating with everyone because, well, there's no reason not to. It's not like, oh, I'm going to collaborate with the person in the desk over from me. They don't exist. So you're going to be collaborating across the globe, and that is a fantastic thing because it lets you build bonds. I still am in contact with people that I've worked with from overseas for many, many years after I've stopped working with them because I've built up relationships with them. And that's a wonderful thing, and it lets you make your network anywhere that you're doing business. And that's a fantastic thing. The next advantage we're talking about is increased focus. So no matter how you focus, whether that is in dead silence, whether that's having music playing, whether that's tapping on your desk as much as you like, whether that is putting on the loudest background noise possible of someone screaming. I don't know what works for you. I'm not you. So whatever works for you, you're going to be able to do that in your home environment. because it's not going to be distracting anyone else, because how you focus might take away from somebody else's focus and vice versa. So that is one of the huge advantages to remote work. And the last advantage we're going to talk about for remote work is a personalized workspace. You can work however it works for you. So if you want to have up all Hello Kitty stuff, you are not going to be bothering anyone with all of it being everywhere. If you would like to have toys on your desk, no one's going to be making fun of you for having toys on your desk. It's there to be visually pleasing to you. If you want a clear, bare workspace that has nothing on it but your monitors and your keyboard and mouse, hey, guess what? You can do that. You get to do what works for you. So on to the disadvantage side of things, we're going to talk about isolation. So when you are working remotely, you're not around other people, so you can start to feel isolated. Now, this can be combated by having family around, going and visiting friends, and getting your social life outside of work. But for a lot of people, they're used to having their social interaction at work for the most part. So this becomes a factor when you're working remotely. The next one I'm going to go over, and I think this is the most difficult one for remote work, is it is difficult to disconnect. So because you're working in your home space, it is very easy, especially if you work out of your living room, you work out of your bedroom, spaces that you spend a lot of time in. It is difficult to get your brain to say, I am done working. It is difficult to stop working on time because you're focused on doing your job and it's right there. It's easy to go in and go, oh, let me just check my email at 8:00 at night. Let me check it at 10. Let me just type this email up, and suddenly it's midnight and you're still working. It's very easy to just continuously work if you work remotely. And the last one we're going to get into is communication issues. So most of what people hear is body language. When you're remote, guess what you don't have a lot of? Body language. Now, when you're on camera, you do get some of that back. That is true, but you do not get all of it. So we have to be careful with this and how we're putting our conversations together when we are working remotely. We have to make sure that we are looking at how things can be read, not just how we mean them to be read. Because someone who knows you is going to give you the benefit of the doubt on how you're saying something, for the most part. Unless they don't like you, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I digress. We have to take that into account and make sure we're communicating in a way that is easily understood. So we just went over a bunch of advantages and disadvantages for all three different work types here. Now, there is obvious merit to each one of these. There is not one that is better than the other. It is what is better for your employees. Now, looking at that holistically, it could be, a challenge. Looking at that individually, that becomes a lot easier. When you don't treat your employees as one mass, it makes it easier to make decisions, because what works for Johnny Q Sample might not work for Susie Q Sample. All right. These are different people with different, ways they need to take in information, with different things that they're doing at their job. So it might be that you want to have different considerations for different roles. And that is okay, because not every job is the same. But there are obvious merits to everything. There is not one unilateral, this is the best. No matter what anyone wants to tell you, everything is individual. That's why we have 18 bajillion types of cars out there, because if they all worked exactly the same and they worked the same for everyone and met everyone's needs, why wouldn't we just have one car? Same thing goes work. So, when you're looking for roles, you have to take the different factors in and go, what works best for me? Am I going to be happier working remotely? And if so, am I willing to compete with everyone under the sun for that role? Am I going to be happier in a hybrid role where I can, have a couple days a week where I'm at home? And then am I happier in the traditional everyday in office role? There's no right or wrong answer. So don't feel that. There is what is right for you. Now, with that, I am going to tell you to have a lovely week. Keep up, doing what you're doing. You're doing the grind. You're figuring out what is best for your career. And that is a fantastic thing. Put down in the comment section what your preferred type of work is. All right. And I will talk to you soon.